Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Elliot Adam, and I am wishing you today a very happy autumn equinox. And I thought because it's the equinox, this would be a great time to do a little mini reading for everyone. And so the way I'm going to organize this is into the different elemental astrological signs. So I'm going to do in this first video some readings for all the fire signs, and then I'll do a reading for all the earth signs. Then I'll do another video where I get into all the air signs and then all the water signs, so collectively. And so if you are a fire sign, which is an Aries, Leo, or a Sagittarius, this first part of the video is going to be for you. And the first card we're going to be going into is what do you need to harvest at this time? And this is going to be what it's important to bring into your life at this time, or what it's important to understand at this time. I'm also using a new deck. It's the Pagan Other Worlds Tarot. I'm really falling in love with it. It's got some beautiful imagery. But let's get started. So this is for the fire signs. First card, what are you harvesting? And we got the Three of Wands. So the Three of Wands is a beautiful card because it represents that life is this big, blank, open canvas. Nothing's really been screwed up yet. And no matter what might have happened in the past or where you've come from or what you've been working on up until this point, the Three of Wands is sort of like a doorway that opens up. And it just shows this big, expansive opportunity for you. So for the fire signs right now, the thing that you need to harvest is your sense of freedom and your sense of exploration and your sense that you can breathe and do something different. And just because you've done something some way before all the time, this card is saying that you're free from that. In fact, whenever I see the Three of Wands, I often think that there's more freedom being available to you right now than you've had in quite some time. So this is going to be a season of things opening up for you. And what you want to harvest is your opportunity to move, to explore, and also to just get out of any mental ruts that you were stuck in before. The second card is what you need to transform at this time. And this is for the fire signs. And that's the Sun. The Sun is the best card of the deck. And so if I'm looking in a sphere of what it's important to transform with, if I'm seeing the Sun, it's saying that you need to transform maybe your perspective about life into something a little bit more positive. You can see that baby that's riding the horse, and horses represent magical assistance. So sometimes when the Sun comes up, it says the thing that you need to transform is your ability to accept help from other people, or even your ability to trust that that help is going to arrive when you need it most. Also, the Sun just says, why are you not being joyful all the time? There is so much that's going on. There's so much that's going to be opened up to you this next year. And this is a really important time to just look at things with a brighter perspective. The Sun is always a card of rebirth and renewal. It rises anew every day. And so this could just be a time to really get a fresh start. And when I see the Sun, following that Three of Wands, it could also be a time when you're starting to see that what is opening up to you right now is actually something really good to take advantage of. And whether you need help to get there or need to collaborate with others, or if you even need to ask for some small favors, this is your time to do it. It is time to reach out. But both of these cards have to do with stepping into the light and getting out into the world. And then finally for the fire signs, the last card is what you need to accept at this time, what you're coming to terms with. And that is the Three of Swords. So the Three of Swords is a card that shows that heart with the three swords through it. It doesn't matter a lot of times what deck you look at, this symbol is kind of reoccurring. And for me, the three swords represent past betrayals, past hurt, past difficulties. And the swords are piercing the heart. They're weighing the heart down. The heart is floating there, and it would be floating above the clouds to rejoin the sun if it could, but it's hanging on to those old wounds. And so the thing that you may have to accept is that, yeah, there are wounds in the past. Yes, there are things that you're still working through. And yes, there may even be attachments to the past that are making you look back. But the Three of Swords is saying now it's time to release those things. The heart hangs onto the swords, not because it likes pain, but because swords represent power. And sometimes we think if we hang on to something painful, it gives us this sense of righteous indignation, or this sense of honor, or the sense of honor through suffering. And sometimes it even makes us feel like we're somehow prepared for another challenge later on. Whenever I'm seeing the Three of Swords, it's saying to bury the hatchet, let go of the past. It's actually holding you back from fully basking in the light of that sun. And the 2 3s as well, I would just say, are all about joy right now. So it's so important to collaborate and connect, and again, to not let old wounds hold you back. So that is for the fire signs. And also as a side note, if you are a fire sign, but most of your planets in your chart are in a water sign, for example, you might want to listen to another video about the water signs. All right, so here we go. The next signs we're going into is the earth signs. And the earth signs are Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. And so the first card for the earth signs is, what are you needing to harvest at this time? And that's the 9 of Swords. So here, it's such an interesting symbol in this deck. You have that leashed swan. And this is an old symbol. It used to appear on the coats of arms in the English nobility. I think the Earl of Essex had the leash swan. You could correct my English history if you want. But what that represents is grace under a sense of duty. So that leash is sort of like taking the yoke and really feeling like, you know what, I really need to do this. I really need to take care of this. And whenever we're seeing the 9 of Swords, it usually indicates rooting out some kind of thoughts that might be keeping you in suffering, or even helping other people, sort of taking them on your back or letting them cry on your shoulder. Whenever I'm seeing the 9 of Swords, it's always a card of perspective. It doesn't say bad things are going to happen to you, but it's saying that you may need to change your perspective of why you're going through some of the challenges you are going through. And so what that leash swan says to me is that you may need to take up the yoke or the mantle of whatever big heavy thing is in front of you and realize that this is your work to do right now. And whenever we're dealing with the 9 of Swords, this is mental work. So this could be a time where you're purging old thoughts that don't serve you anymore, or if you're even just needing to look at things from a different perspective. It's time to surrender and go with the flow. And just like the swan, go with grace and ease through this transition. The next card is what you need to transform for the earth signs, and that is the 3 of Pentacles. This is always a card of learning and expanding your knowledge. And so this could indicate, next to the 9 of Swords, that the thing that you need to transform right now, again, is in your mind. It's how you're approaching something mentally, and also what you're learning from your current experiences. Whatever it is that you feel sort of like you're bracing for at this time, or you're just kind of like up against this wall, this card is saying it's time to learn more about whatever is feeling threatening to you at this time. The challenge can only seem overwhelming if you are in the dark about it, if you don't know everything about it. So that 3 of Pentacles is encouraging you to learn. And we have this wonderful thing called the internet, where you can look up anything about anything in the world. Anytime you need an answer, it's basically at your fingertips. So as long as you're not digging up information that will feed your fears, which that 9 of Swords can sometimes represent, this could be a really constructive time to learn or grow. And then finally, what you need to accept on this autumn equinox for the earth signs, the acceptance card, is the 4 of Swords. What you need to accept is that you aren't Superman or Superwoman, that you need to take a break sometimes, that you need to rest. I see that swan, which is such a beautiful symbol of surrender and letting things go. And so it might indicate that this is a time to turn inward. It's time to do some private study, even meditation, reflection, and bring your sense of inner peace back to the fore right now. The autumn is going to be a time where there are some challenges, and you are going to have to step up to the plate. But it's saying that if you learn about it and you prepare for it, you're going to be fine. And also that 4 of Swords is just saying to take the necessary breaks. Make sure that you are coming up for air periodically. So that is part 1 of the autumn equinox videos, and I hope you join me for part 2 if you have some astrological signs in the air signs or the water signs. So other than that, I do wish you a very happy fall, and please take care.